What's going on, man? Seems like you've been following some of Tim Scott's remarks, and we have the gubernatorial race here coming up, and you're a Michigander, so I need to know exactly, your feedback on quite a few things. We didn't have the conviction of the police officer in the George Floyd's case. We had more things happen with the Ahmaud Arbery situation, where one of the officers, but those accused individuals are basically being charged with hate crimes, or at least the shooter is. So I need your feedback on all of this, man. I tend to do single interviews with different individuals who, I respect their school of thought, respect their platform, their activism, and I would say I like to bring forth content that is the urban difference. Unfortunately, a lot of the Black or even conservative or just even African American activists have some of the same narratives. They jump on bandwagons, and they put a different flavor to it to some degree, but it's not really different. And I tend to try to be as balanced as possible, as credible as possible. And, I don't want to see things from a partisan lens. You understand what I'm saying? And so
yeah, exactly.
I notice you do the same thing. A lot of times when you talk and you put remarks out there, you're just, you will lay it to a Democrat or a Republican, and I respect that. So, just starting off, I see you're a Cass Tech graduate, man. Them Cass Tech boys are smart, man.
We're okay. I think it's a lot of smart people all around. My mother, she was a Persian doughboy, so I recognize talent wherever it may be.
I got you. So you have a master's from is it UofM or Detroit Mercy? Which one?
Both.
Oh, both. So you got two. You had a double master's then.
Yeah. I'm working on my doctorate now at Temple.
Sweet.
Yeah.
So you got to explain that to me, man. What exactly? What did you major in, and what made you do a double master's? Because I'm technically a doctoral candidate as well, and I'm narrowing some things down. But what made you do the double master's? Typically, most would just go right into the doctoral's program.
Yeah, and that's the thing about, Michigan, like we don't have like the type of resources for professionals at, the tier 1 schools like Michigan State and University of Michigan. So if you want to, like I did my first master's in the MBA, and then I realized that, I wanted to be a little bit more on the quantitative side. So I did data science at UofM. Okay. And the thing of it is that I wanted to get into the PhD program, but you can't do that and work at the same time. Like at those type of schools, they expect 100%, dedication
they do.
to the program.
You can't do the occupational thing and do that. They want you full-time student.
Yeah. So, I have kids, so, I can't do that. So, the best thing about being out East is they have those type of opportunities like Temple University do. So, I can work, I can, do what I do, and, I can still pursue my goals or whatnot, and so my career is in like analytics. So, getting going to, the data science piece makes more sense because we're using more, advanced tools, machine learning, those types of things. And like, and you don't learn that, in undergrad, you learn that, typically like in grad school or in a PhD level. So that's kind of the reason why, I did that. But, in hindsight, I wish I would have just, did more research into like the doctorate piece and just went ahead with that because that's where I wanted to go anyways. It was kind of like a little detour. So like I was midway into the data science program. I was like, man, this doesn't make sense because a lot of stuff I know because of work and, it wasn't really added value. So I switched gears, and then that's when I went to the doctorate.
Well, I really appreciate you, Vincent Lyons, correct? And,
yes.
I appreciate you coming on to help me develop a thought of the urban difference and try to present some things. We have a very diverse background of people who listen to a lot of the commentary that I produce and put out there. So I just kind of want to dive in. But I do know you have a traditional MBA, correct?
Yep.
Okay, because I have a traditional MBA as well. dealing with organizational psychology. So I knew, I said, he went from the MBA and then he went into data, but now explaining your occupation, I understand the analytical side of what you're doing. So it makes more sense in doing that. So what made me reach out to you just recently was seeing the remarks with Tim Scott. I want to know your opinion on that, your opinion of Tim Scott. Again, this is the urban difference. I want you to be completely, transparent. Let me know what you're thinking, how you're thinking, because what I want to do is develop the thought, the insight that can get it to some of these strategists that's running some of these campaigns, some of these staff, advisors, and get it to these people that can hear what people are actually thinking. Average, everyday people that know what's going on in the world, not these PhD people running these, these think tanks that think that they know, but they're not even with average day people every day. So what made you put some of your remarks? I think it was in the conservative group. It was a conservative group for Black America. I think I've seen the comments because I've seen us back and forth posting there. What made you feel or express what you did about Tim Scott? Because you were very passionate about it.
Yeah. And one of the things is because a lot of people, they take conservative sound bites and run with it, but they don't put the whole story out there. Correct. Tim Scott, he said America is not a racist country, but then he went on to talk about his experiences in America in dealing with discrimination and dealing with adversity and things of that nature. And what he was trying to say is, on the average, America is not a racist country, but we do have issues that we need to deal with. And I think that a lot of people, they went with, the main thing, what he said, but they didn't listen to every bit and piece. And from us, being a statistician, we call this signal and noise. So people listen to the noise, but they ignored the signal of what he was trying to say. And the signal that he was trying to say is that America, on average, is not a racist country, but America has issues that they have to deal with. And then the next day, Kamala Harris said the same thing, but nobody went ahead and said anything negative about her. But when a conservative person says it, it's always bad. It's always negative. And, I hate that, because most of the time we're speaking the same language, we're saying the same things, but we're treated totally different. And I would say I'm a conservative, and I would say that's horrible. I think that we as conservatives need to be treated better. We're not, as they say, deplorables. We're good people. We have values. We have morals. We believe in God, and we get treated so horribly by mainstream media just because we have values that's different from them. But at the same time, we're trying to reach the same goals.
Correct. And also, just to piggyback off of that, Tim Scott is the same person who literally said about how he was discriminated against in multiple real life scenarios, how whether it's pulled over, profile while shopping. He's a guy that has come forth to say, look, I'm not like Candace Owens is going to try to deny, the real issues here in America. Hey, I know for a fact I've lived this, and I can give you example after example. And so I give him credit and I support him because I'm being honest, I'm tired of the Negroes being promoted by either or political establishments, given talking points, and then they run out and represent us as if they're speaking for us and the average day individuals. And just to also point out, you had a Black Lives Matter profile picture too. So you're not like the traditional, just Black conservatives. Now you got to explain that. Because I think I know your heart with that, but I need you to explain it, because I think for you and me, so let me just kind of put myself out there as well. Well, Black Lives Matter has, in my hometown of Flint, Michigan, has a group page. Now, I'm not affiliated with Black Lives Matter, but I have, as of recently, helped share their platform. So I share a lot of different content in this platform. So in other words, I have access to their platform, and we deal with Black issues, and we keep it focused. Now, this is my hometown, so I don't know if it's just because it's a hometown thing where they let me speak in here, and that's cool, because I broke a couple different things off, like when Ahmaud Arbery situation was charged as a hate crime. That went very viral in there, and I broke that story off because that was like a breaking story, but a lot of people didn't share it. So that was one area where, you know, I was able to say, okay, if this is about Black Lives Matter, let's focus on some Black issues. I don't get into the rhetoric. I don't get into the politics of what they stand for, what they try to do from a corporate side of things. You know what I'm saying? I stay with the grassroots, but I wanted to know your feedback on what did you feel connected with you concerning Black Lives Matter?
Well, I mean, like the reason why I'm connected is basically for, you know, the main message, Black Lives Matter. You know, if you dig into the organization and things like that, you know, it's kind of, you know, if you understand the history, the mission, and, you know, it's kind of left field from Black Lives Matter,
Contradicting
and
from
it
what,
kind of,
Black
and
issues
it kind
are
of,
really about. Yeah, got you.
So, but you know, I'm for, you know, saying, because Black lives in America, you know, doesn't have that value, you know, and that's my point of view. Will I be a part of a Black Lives Matter stuff? You know, no. I mean, like, you know, I understand, you know, their mission and all that, and I'm not aligned with everything that they're doing. And I think that, you know, if you're a part of organization, you need to have, you know, at least 90% alignment to it, you
Correct.
know, and I'm not there, you know, with them.
Correct.
You know, I think that you know, their goal to, you know, bring awareness to Black lives is great, you know, but they have other things that they're going
Other
on
agendas that really
doing.
contradict
Yeah.
what Black lives. So you're like me. You support Black lives, but you don't support the corporate agenda, political agenda of everything. So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
support that.
You know, exactly. You know, and you know, and the more you understand, you know, what they're going through and the people that they're helping, you know, I think that, you know, it at the end of the day, like, yeah, Black lives may be saved, you know, because of, you know, less, you know, crime and things like that, less murders, but then you have other factors that go into it that actually hurt Black lives, you know.
Correct.
So, you know, I'm not going to go into all that, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah,
And but
yeah.
so just to kind of switch gears with you, because I'm with you on that 100%. I just wanted to kind of put that out there because nowadays you have these prominent, and we're going to get into it. You almost can't talk about certain things without bringing up the propagandist or the narratives of Candace Owens and what she tries to spew out towards Black America. And so with me being an African American man that came from the hood, was elected as the ethnic vice chair of the Michigan Republican Party, helped win Michigan for Trump in 2016. I mean, you're talking about running in the same camps of the Ronald Romneys and a lot of other people who pretty much have tried to lead the way and do some things across the country. But you have these other agendas where nobody disagrees with Candace Owens when it comes to limited government. If you're anyone of a moderate, you understand limited government, right?
Yeah.
But when she goes into her narratives of Black America, and she's not even from the neighborhood, she doesn't have any
dude. Let me go even further than that. She is Caribbean, dude.
She's Caribbean. She's not African American. Like her people not even from here.
No, I mean, like, she not from. I mean, that's where people need to stop. I'm like, this is an African American descendant of slaves issue.
Correct.
This is not your issue.
Yeah, if you ain't talking
like,
you can't even chattel slavery, you don't understand. Like my people from Alabama, they told me my people pick cotton. I know that for a fact, and we know that the struggles that's been faced since then. And so I just kind of, again, want to put that, we're going to dive into that towards the end, but I wanted to jump to the Michigan gubernatorial race here with Governor Whitmer. And I'm mixed, and I have some very unique things about this. I've been involved in probably every gubernatorial race at some level, from strategy to PR to marketing to canvassing to being involved at some level. And I didn't support Governor Snyder. I never supported him outside of economics, but even in that, I knew, like, I never felt like, is this the best we could do? Like, why did we even go in this direction? But I'm not anti-Snyder, so I'm not gonna just throw him under the bus because the liberals and the leftists want me to do that, because in some cases he made a mistake. And I was one of the first people to come out and say, look, he's from a corporate background. He's good in numbers and accounting. This man didn't understand the level of the swamp here in Michigan. He didn't get it, and he made some serious mistakes. Not saying he tried to poison black people intentionally. I don't lie on my enemies, man. Like, I'm not gonna lie on you just to say it's a lie. So he made mistakes, and he should be held accountable. You know, he's been charged with a misdemeanor. Other people, let's see where that goes. Politicians are so privileged. You know, we talk about white privilege. Let's talk about politician privilege. This man was able to have changed the laws to where he could spend millions of taxpayer dollars to defend himself with the cases that eventually came against him from lawsuits and criminal liability, and he used taxpayer money. Now, I'm just saying, I've had my legal issues, okay, and thank God I've been primarily victorious, but I spent my own money. Nobody came and bailed me out with taxpayer money. So we don't talk about politician privilege, and we don't talk about political elite privilege. You know, but the issue is with him. I love that counting because he did a lot of good things, economics with jobs, but was terrible in every other area. Like, you almost can't even deny it. You can't cover it up. You can't smear it. Like, for instance, let me give you a good example. Asset forfeiture was like crazy. This is Republicans robbing people and it's average citizens. You don't have to be convicted of a crime. You don't have to go through certain things. They take in your stuff, they season it. I have people that told me, look, I have legitimate money and it's stolen property. And this is Republicans doing this under Snyder. And they're claiming to be the people of freedom. But yet Governor Whitmer come in and she come in and get rid of it. You know, they take care of that real quick. So it's like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me our Michigan, and see, I'm at a point where if you're from Michigan, we got to handle our problems amongst Michiganders, whether you're left, right, whatever. We got to take care of home first. So I'm against any outside influences in Michigan, outside voices. Candace Owens can keep her voice away and off our governor because she ain't here and she don't know the issues. It's not like she's in Detroit. She don't know. So my issue is that, you know, I've seen them take care of some things on that side since this new administration came in, that we had the House, the Senate, we could have been took care of that. And libertarians were telling them, like, look, this is Republicans doing this. And then you have the clean slate bill that just came out, where now Governor Snyder and Gilchrist, they're going to get credit pretty much for so many people getting a second, third chance, whatever, of cleaning their life up, getting misdemeanors and felonies removed. And it's a labor shortage, so this helps the economy. But we could have been did this, and nobody chose to do this on the Republican side and get this done. And I could go on and on to different things because I believe, and this is just what I see so far with the gubernatorial race, they're going to push tyranny, and I get it. I understand governmental abuse of powers, the hypocrisy with all politicians, not just Governor Whitmer. She ain't the only one hypocritical. A lot of folks up in that mug is hypocritical. All of them with their political elites and the stuff that they're allowed to do. And so for me, seeing this right now during a pandemic, and I say this now, Governor Whitmer needs to get some economics back to the people that were hurt due to how the pandemic issues were handled, from landscapers and carpenters and people who were laid off of work, and a lot of things like that. And they did try to get a lot of unemployment money out here. So I'm not saying that they didn't try to do some things. But when it comes to just that tyranny, that's going to be the only thing that remove her during the middle of a pandemic. I don't believe that's going to be enough to remove her, especially from, I'm just going to go over the names because I just pulled up some of the names here right now. I have it here from one of my other friends who's running for Congress, Mike Dittmer. I have a post from him that he put up. I'm going to read it from him because he's talking about all of the gubernatorial candidates. So we have 5 candidates right now. Bob Scott, Austin Change, I believe, Ryan Kelly, Garrett Shalano, and James Craig. Now, and I apologize if I slaughtered somebody's name, but the issue is, out of all these names here, the only people that I know could even, that has any credibility is James Craig, but that's in Detroit. I don't think, we're going to talk about that. But then you have a Ryan Kelly, who I'm hearing is very conservative. He's solid. He's a solid conservative. He's someone that pretty much I believe is solid. I mean, from what I'm hearing from the grassroots, he's somebody to consider. He's somebody that you want to support. And so, with that being said, I'm thinking he's worth considering to look at. But at the same time, I don't believe in no name. And I say no name because none of these people have any proven track records that you can think of outside of Craig. He's the only one. So outside of that, who else can actually target Governor Whitmer? And this is just me. I mean, I think this is a clear indication that they're not serious about winning this, because I don't see nobody that can challenge her. And I don't think nobody, and I'm not endorsing her, but I am saying to people that's residents, be smart. You're trying to change leaderships right during a pandemic. Like, so who does that? Who will do that? I don't know.
Well, the United States did.
Well, yes. I mean, but you're right. But that's the presidency. I was going to say outside of Trump, but outside of, but in Michigan, what do you think about the gubernatorial race right now? I would love to know your opinion on it.
Yeah, I mean, like, right now it's forming. I mean, the chief, he hasn't, formally committed, even though we know that he probably will in the future. The other people I don't really, know anything about, but, I would say that with Craig and the work that he's done, and also the way that he really mastered media, I think that, he will give her a run for the money. And I think that he will probably pull off anywhere between 10 to 15% in Detroit. And if you think about that, and then you think about like the rural areas that will vote for him, he probably has a good chance. The thing of it is, he really has to focus on Detroit. He really has to focus on how he messaged his campaign, and he really has to focus on making this, effort that's bipartisan, and an effort that's not, showing that he's leaning far right. He has to maintain center, to be able to win this. If he goes to the right, he'll lose it. Because
so this is, I think, again, Chief Craig, James Craig is a superb law enforcement officer, and more importantly, he is one of us. He's from he knows the neighborhood.
East Side,
out front. I mean, he's about that life. Like, you can't deny that about him. The criminals and the law enforcement loves him. It don't matter if you're on the wrong side of the law. They're like, look, I got respect for Craig. My issue is getting involved at this level of politics, is dirt. And more importantly, the party he chooses to come out under being the Republican Party. Now, I know this from being elected. They don't invest in our communities. My concern is them trying to use him to basically get him to be in conflict with a lot of the people he can naturally help. Because once you get into politics, and I say, who put him up? Like, it's beyond the point of just seeing people run. You want to know who put him up to this, because this is not just something organically from him. And I don't believe that. He can't come out and convince me of that. But I do get that he wants to, have a good foot of public service and attempt to serve. My concern is that this thing could divide him from the very people he needs to help, because now you got to stand up with a party and with people that traditionally have not reached out and won these areas. And part of that, of why John James lost, and other people, Lena Epstein lost, and other minorities, is because we don't put that investment block into those areas year round. And so
I think with John James, he campaigned more so than a lot of other.
Oh, he did.
And actually, I think if he didn't run during the same time President Trump ran, he would have won. Because the person he was running against was weak. And the only thing that really held him back was the Donald Trump, because in Detroit, if you're with Donald Trump, it's like you're with like the coronavirus. Nobody wants to touch you, I mean, like, that's just pretty much what happened to him. Because
But see, this is the thing. I've seen Trump get more black votes than a lot, so I don't necessarily completely buy it. Let me just explain.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, I think it's more of him running as the GOP ticket. I think it's the GOP that held him back. I don't think it was Trump in a sense of the fiasco with the voting issues. That's one thing. That's one thing. But I'm saying when you look at the fact that the GOP, and I'm talking about across the country, and can name these people from the highest offices of people running for Congress. None of these people a lot of times are from within those communities that the GOP finds and tries to promote. And that's the point where it's like, I can't vouch for that when I know it was people, political elites that came and promoted them to do it. It's not like they were the ones that say, I want to make a difference in my community. Who's going to support this ticket? And they came out originally themselves. So my issue is that, no, I think John James could have ran on his own independently and gained more votes, or he could have made more of a leeway, I think, credibility. Because right now, they tried to trash him. Like how they did John James was not good for the Black community. And I go against that type of thinking when you have someone successful as him who could have ran or not ran at all. And you have a lot of successful Democrats that don't come back and give back and try to represent Black America. So I agree with you in the sense that, yeah, there was some issues there with him. But I also believe we got to look at the traditional tactics of the GOP to just go find people and have people run. But then they're not the ones really controlling things. Like they're kind of put out there as puppets, and I don't like that. I never have liked that, and it's not credible. And I don't know what we're going to do to get rid of this.
But that's how politics work. I mean, politicians are puppets to like everybody. Like none of them have their own voice, because if you think about the nature of politics, they all they're the voice for the community. So if you're basically a conduit. So if you're a conduit, you're basically, spewing out whatever you get spewed in. You're never really truly in control over, because if you go left and everybody's going right, then guess what happens? We're seeing it right now with Cheney. Those types of things happen. You have to follow the voice of the community and all that kind of stuff. And that's the horrible nature, I think, about politics, is that politicians, they truly don't have control, and they're all are placed for a specific reason, because somebody sees that they can use them as a tool to push their agenda.
Well, see, and that's the thing. One of my mentors, Dave Agema, said, Darwin, there's not a lot of leaders in politics there, So I agree to a large extent that, yes, you are representatives of your people, but at some point we need leaders that will be willing to buck whatever they have to in order to stand out and make that difference. I just feel like if we have enough sacrificial people to do that, then we can maybe bring about a change. So when I look at a person like John James, I just look at it as, he looked upon you, right, as representing a certain community, but that community wasn't the community he should have been representing, is what I'm saying. I feel if anybody he lost anyway. He's a two-time loser, no matter how we look at it. That's a fact. But the truth of the matter is, did you lose standing for something? Did you lose making a difference? And I'm not knocking him, please. He's put more and invested more to trying to make a change than probably anybody I know. I mean, with real dollars and cents. But I'm saying I think he could have tackled criminal justice reform. I think he could have tackled the public education crisis we have in the inner cities. I think he could have been more of a representative for us. Forget representing those political elites. Yeah, you're going to have to shake some shoulders and drink a cocktail with them. But that don't mean you buy in and let them dictate how you run. And I'm saying we need more authentic people that can represent. So
you know who is like that?
Trump was the only person I've ever seen be like that, because he was already a billionaire. He was already self-made, so he didn't really need them.
And that's the only way that you could be free. I mean, if you come in politics, one of the things that Romney's father said, Mitt Romney's father said was, like, you need to be in politics when you don't have to worry about your bills being paid. True. And when you're like that, you're completely free. You're your own man. You don't have to worry about, if I say this, then this donor is going to be mad, and I won't be able to finance, my campaign. And a lot of times we gotta, get people in politics that don't have those types, because, you know, we saw it through Trump, is that you can get true change if you don't have the answer to anybody, you know, and we need to, you know, and we need to really work with people to get people to that point. So when they get into politics, they can be transformative. They can tackle things that society is against and go with it. And then also it's all about being a charismatic leader. So you can have, you know, those donors and things like that, but you have to be able to sell them on your ideals. You know, and I think yeah, and I think that's the thing, you know, like a lot of people in leadership, they're used to being told and not leading and selling the ideals. Like I saw only literally two in my lifetime that was a seller. You know, Bernie Sanders was a seller, Donald Trump was a seller. Bernie Sanders failed, you know, because his ideals were just crazy. You know, Trump,
but he was still authentic. He was still authentic.
Yeah, what he's believing. Yeah. You know, and that's how you have to be, because people, you know, are attracted by that, you know, and I think that I think that was probably one of the John James's thing. And a lot of people, they get in politics because they want the spotlight, but they don't want the change. You know, and if you get into politics, you have to get into it. You authentically see a problem and want to change it. Like I remember Trump was talking about China since 1982.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that was something he wanted to change.
Oh, you go back over the tapes. Yeah, he's always talking about the same issues. It's never been anything not consistent.
And Bernie Sanders was the same way. And that's the reason why they're so great, you know, in their own little space, is because they authentically want to change, and we don't have authentic leadership anymore.
So jumping back to Chief Craig again one more time. Yeah. I believe the strategy here is to have someone that's a black face with credibility from Detroit to take away voters from Lieutenant Governor Gilchrist. Do you think there's any credibility to that?
Yeah. I mean, like it's a great plan, because like you know, Gilchrist, but the thing of it is that Gilchrist is on the side that everybody likes, you know, and things like that. And Gilchrist has, even though he's younger, you know, but he's on the side that everybody likes, you know, with you know, the sheriff, he's on the other side that, you know, it's toxic for Detroit. So, you know, it's hard. I mean, seriously, but he'll do better number wise than anybody else, because he has that inroad into the city. And that's probably the big plan, because they realize Detroit is instrumental in winning the race. And, you know, they took Detroit for granted for so long until, you know, 2020, when they realized Detroit was the whole reason why the state went blue.
Correct.
You know, so now they're trying to address the blue issue with Chief Craig, and it makes perfect sense.
So Rashida Tlaib, the Congresswoman from Detroit, I felt like him and her and Chief Craig going at it. I used to love it. I still like whenever they get at it. I think he won. He defeated. Yeah. He's won that narrative, that fight already. Yeah. But my question would be, do you think that's going to hurt him at all? You know,
I think that Rashida Tlaib, if you're a thinking person, you know that she's all noise and no signal. Like I
think she wants to have the heart intentions of wanting to change, but the content and the substance just is not there.
God. You know, the thing of it is that us as Detroiters, you know, we have like all these negative connotations about us. And then she goes out and say, let's get rid of that mother effer on national stage. You know, like this is not good PR for us. You know, we need people that will make us look good, that will get rid of those negative connotations. And she's actually reinforcing those, you know. And I think that, you know, Chief Craig, you know, checking her is a benefit for us, because we have a black guy, you know, that's strong.
One of us, you know, black man, represent.
Exactly.
You know,
yeah. And like he's telling her right, you know, because she's totally left field and she needs.
Yeah, because I don't believe it was any malicious from Chief Craig on checking her. I think
he just wanted to
completely legitimate and credible, and he was sincere with everything he was saying. I don't think he was even a lot about politics. So I felt him on that. I supported him 100%. I just knew that that was a good thing, and I supported it despite of the Congresswoman having the best intentions of what she may have intended. But Israel, with everything flying up right now, it's a war going on, and all her rhetoric. Do you think her rhetoric helps?
It hurts. I mean, it really hurts. I mean, we as a nation, we should always stand, with Israel. I mean, without a doubt. And one of the greatest things that was done in the last administration was, solidifying our stance for Israel, solidifying, that we were going to stand by them. And that's why during the last administration, we didn't have any problems. But in this administration, we're having problems because they know
it wouldn't even happen. It would have been taken care of.
No, because they know that United States is not going to get in the mix, or whatnot. So Israel is kind of on their own, and they have to, do the bombing and whatever, because they know that, they don't have, support, within the United States anymore like they did.
They got support of Almighty Hashem, Almighty God. So amen. So fast forward to Candace Owens. Again, Ahmaud Arbery's killer being charged with hate crime. George Floyd's, in my opinion, his killer is convicted on all counts. Again, supported her on limited government. She's Caribbean, not African American, not from us. And unfortunately, so many African Americans, well, I won't say so many, but the limited amount, credible conservatives have followed her, despite a lot of conservatives coming out mainstream against her. And I've shared the content, the material, might even post it in this link of how many credible other conservatives have come out against her. But the narrative, the rhetoric, I mean, at this point, what she put out about George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery, and I don't like to talk about Candace Owens, I don't. But because of what she's doing, I feel like I have to. She's a propagandist, and she's been proving that based on those 2 counts right there. If that was anybody else, she would be discredited. But because she will continue to double down, even when she's lying, even when it's propaganda, tell me, how does she get away with this? And what is the end goal here? Because I don't think she's going to reach the inner city. In fact, I have more support in the inner city than she do. And it's like, what's going on here?
Yeah. I mean, her whole strategy is, it's kind of like Reagan, did they have, what was it called? When he was in Alabama, I think, or whatnot, the Southern strategy, is that what they call that?
Yeah.
Or whatnot? And that's kind of, where she's going. She's leaning towards a Southern strategy, and she's not understanding that demographically we're changing.
She's gonna oust herself.
Yeah, and you have to realize that, what happens, and then the thing of it is too, if you want Black people, you have to be authentic, and you have to be, if you're Black, you should be Black first. One of the things I like about, what's his name, Dr.
Ben Carson?
No, not Dr. Ben Carson, but, he does like a financial analysis, and, as well as
talking about I know who you're talking about. He does the financial stuff. I know.
Yeah. So you're with me.
Yeah.
And one of the things he always says, and which I think is near and dear, Black first. And I think that anybody,
I gotta look that brother up. Let me look him up, man. I gotta get his name right. We're wrong not to know his name, because we know his name because we listen to him. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I mean, like he makes really, really good points. And I think that, one of his greatest points is putting, Black people first, and and forgetting about the politics or whatnot. And if you subscribe to that type of ideology, you can't be a Candace Owens, because Candace Owens is tearing down Black people and making Black people, look like and fit into the narratives of those people that, want Black people not to be around. So, I just think that, she's doing a huge disservice to us. I think that she was really good when she talked about limited government and when she talked about conservative issues that evolve around society minus Black people. When she got into the Black people, arena and things like that, I think that's when she went downhill for me, or whatnot. And I think that she has great talent. I think that she has great ability, but she needs to realize that she needs to embrace us. She doesn't need to be another one that tears us down and make us look less, and I think that's the reason why a lot of Black people don't want to be conservative, because the conservatives that are out there in mainstream, that's, some of the things that they do. We have a Tim Scott that's not like that, thank God, and he's representing, South Carolina really well. But the rest of them, they do that type of stuff, and it makes it hard for the base to grow, because once we have a good amount of Black conservatives, we'll be able to have Black platforms within the conservative movement. But you can't have that if you don't have the people.
Correct.
And the key of it is we need to get the people. So we need to get people out there that's saying positive things, that's embracing Black people, even saying that I love being Black, to get people, because I think that if you were an African American person and you experienced a normal African American life where you went to church and you learned about the Bible and things like that, and then you look at what's going on, in the Democratic side, it seems obvious to me, if you love God, you love conservatism. If Correct. You don't love God, you love liberalism, because liberalism is, if you look at all the things it's doing, it's not aligned with the teachings of the Bible.
So, but the guy you're talking about, the Black financial guy, I want to say he deals with Black Financial Matters, and yeah. I know. So I'm trying to, because he's up in the likes of kind of like Dr. Umar, but not the same. I know they actually are conflicted against each other. But I'm actually trying to pull up. I know I follow him too, and pull up. But
yeah, I follow him on Twitter.
And basically, so what he says, and I don't subscribe to everything, just like I know you don't either. But what he does in this, we shouldn't give up our identity. You know what I mean? We shouldn't give up the fact that we're African American. We shouldn't give up the fact that we are Black and we care about Black issues, especially in our community and the things that we have to deal with. Because if we don't do it, who will? Which brings up a point that I wanted to say. I'm past the point of looking to to Democrat or Republican establishments to handle Black issues. If you can find it too, let me know, because I want to make sure you can pull it up. But I'm past the point of looking.
Oh, Dr. Boyce Watkins.
Boyce Watkins, yes. No, I apologize. Yeah. I repent. As much as we follow him and we look at his material, should have known. But we don't have to give up our identities and who we are. And I'm not into making nationalism an idol, nor Republicanism, nor Trumpism, nor any ism. I'm not. I want to continue to serve the Almighty God. I don't want to put forth anything else in that. And I'm not going to go to that. So at the end of the day, it's just like, I think 100% you're right about that. And the Candace Owens, think of what she could do if she was mentoring young girls in the inner city. I would be the #1 person supporting her. If she opened up something and say, I'm going to go to foster homes, orphanages, and really help out, because until we actually deal with those issues in the inner city and in the hood, which we know we can if we bring our leadership in to do it. And see, I got boots on the ground. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I have to represent that. People know where I come from, and I can't just get on and then be acting like I don't know where I came from and I don't know how I got on. And I'm all for police. I mean, I could tell you stories about how police officers did things when I went through and had legal issues that I had to overcome. I mean, officers who made sure I had a personal reconnaissance bond, prayed with me in my kitchen. I could go on and on and on about how officers, and I'm talking about white officers, looked out for me, including the state police. Shout out to the state police, who was actually one of the criminal experts in was going to be a potential trial. So, the good thing about this is that I represent law enforcement and police, but I don't feel like we got to throw Black people under the bus to further America. We can bring America together. And, you know, you hit a nail on the head, because you have these Caribbeans, but you also have people from the Middle East, like, say, from the Arabic community. Arabic and Black means slave. They have a lot of different cultural things that they really come from a background where in Northern Africa, they're still enslaving Black people. When you look, we get mad at white folks and Europeans. We don't talk about the fact that Arabs, they started the slave trade and those practices of enslaving Black people. We don't talk about that. So I have a mentor that I love, but I kind of had a disagreement with her about it, Noni Darwish, you know, because she's just down in Black people and trying to like lift up white society. And it's like, wait a minute, let's preach love, but let's deal with the real issues from Black America. Let's deal with the real issues in white America, and let's try to blend together to create the one America that's been the challenge since the founding of everything, from the very founding of America. Like, we've had a challenge here, you know, from day one of how to get this and put this together. So a couple other things. I did an African American study as of recently, and I came across some things that changed my perspective on reparations, changed my perspectives on a lot. And I never was for reparations, and I'm not for cash handouts, but institutional criminal justice, economic restitution, because they give out economic restitution right now in America to any victims of crime. They get that. But I'm not for just giving it out, because I don't want that to be something that will be a shame even more down the road. But institutional debt elimination and forgiveness, and a lot of other things that can help move African Americans together. Because no, the people responsible for slavery may not be around today, but their systems, the money, the companies, all
there
those
we go.
So if you don't look at it as a financial crime, look, if I smuggle, I don't care how much millions of dollars or embezzle, it don't matter if it's a year, 100 years. If they can prove that back to a crime, they have liability to take it all, or at least develop some type of restitution plan to gain those funds back to victims. And so my point is, there's a couple different leading professors through Duke University, Brown University, who are leading this out. So very few people actually do the research when understanding what you mean when I call it economic restitution, because it's connected to a crime. It's not just something you're just saying, hey, I want to give out free money to people. The BET founder said it was around 12 to 16 trillion in order to make this plan happen. And he was pushing it. He even got down to more of the specifics of how most Black people, if you're renters, you don't get a lot of tax subsidies. You don't get a lot of different asset appreciation. So you stay in a cycle of poverty. We know redlining and financial racism has been an issue when we can't get access to capital and funds and a lot of other things. So I ran across Thaddeus Stevens. I ran across and even found even more information about Abraham Lincoln, which made him so awesome. I mean, he made an actual declaration. I think it was an executive order that if you touched a slave at that time, a freed slave, a freed man, like, you die. Like, if you tried to harm and kill somebody, you die. Like, period. So I mean, he was someone for us. We haven't had nobody for us, for Black people, for real in them, and which is America, Americans. Black people here in America that are here legal, have been here, are here, they are legal Americans. So my issue is that ever since you've had the failure of the 40 acres and a mule, the different land proclamations or declarations that failed, Thaddeus Stevens said this one thing. He said that if you do not get the economic slavery removed from the freed men, despite them being freed physically, that they will remain in economic slavery for years to come. And when I read this, it blew my mind. He was true. He was telling the truth.
Yeah,
like, so
not years, centuries.
I mean, and so we act as if like we don't recognize that this has been happening. And so, and I'm not getting away from personal responsibility. We all know we can navigate, because my life is example, your life is example. But we can't overlook the overall picture. Everybody ain't where we are. In fact, we're a small minority still of successful Black people in America. So, you know, Thaddeus Stevens is somebody that if you haven't looked at, I want you to look him up. Also, look up just how everything started since Reconstruction era. Since the Reconstruction era, how everything happened, we have never, ever since Abraham Lincoln being killed, had the proper representation in our governments the way we're supposed to. Even when people talk about the Ku Klux Klan, what's sad is they don't talk about this being around over 100 years. You're not talking about a decade. You're not talking about a century. The Ku Klux Klan, from the highest offices on down, and creating and influenced legislation against blacks was for over 100 years. How could that not be systemic racism and systemic? And you can't deny that. You can't deny it. So, what are your thoughts on that? Just from recreation to just, I don't know if you know about that, E. Stevens. But just to think about some of the things that's happened since Reconstruction, how we remained in economic slavery versus us being free. You know, these are serious issues to me, and I wasn't aware of this because I hadn't did my research, unfortunately, and they don't teach this in public schools.
No, they don't. I mean, you know, but the thing of it is, if you think about all the ways, even up to now, that, you know, the society has done things to take away and gain the Black community financially, I mean, they would literally have to turn over all the institutions that generate money to us to pay off all the economic harm that they've done to the Black community. Imagine if for 200 years you had free labor. Mm-hmm. I mean, how much money do you think that were generated from slavery? I mean, like, the amount of money that was generated from slavery will eclipse, you know, all the Fortune 500 companies combined for multiple decades, you know. And then after, you know, we got free, we still was in bondage, like, you know, Fat as Stevens said, and we were sharecroppers. We didn't own our stuff. They,
that
you know,
was
they
all and you know, that was land that was given. They asked us when the actual colonial person that was working from the Abraham Lincoln's administration came down, and they said, listen, what do you guys want? And one of the main things that they said was that they wanted land. Why? Land is industry. Land will give us the economic means to do everything we have. And by now, we would have our own Steve Jobs. We have our own Bill Gates. We would have had our own thing, possibly even our own states.
But you know, the thing of it is, they always say, pull yourself to the bootstraps. And they done that in Tulsa. And look what happened. Exactly. You know, and the thing of it is that, you know, Black people have always been resilient. Look at our, you know, historically Black institutions. Like, if you look at the one in Washington, D.C., what is it? It's not more Howard. Howard is ranked at the same level as my alma mater, Michigan State. Wow. At the you know, so I think they're like top 80 in the United States. That is what Black people can do. You know, we can be at the same level as the elite. And they know that, and they purposely done stuff over time to stop us from being able to achieve what we're, you know, God-given able to do. And then at the same time, they want to talk down on us, or, you know, lazy, and
all
we're
these
still
these stereotypes that don't even apply. How would you feel if you had to work amongst people that were your actual slave owners once you've been freed? I mean, think about how irrational that is.
It's the
they said, listen, and then there was a strategy from those Southerners that says, listen, you guys helped us lose the Civil War. We're going to be against you forever in America. We're never going to support you. We're never going to be for you. So people are acting like this has not been a real strategy. This has been a real thing. And then we were put behind everyone else, despite us having to help win the Civil War. I don't understand that. I don't understand how we don't recognize that America, if we don't have atonement, Israeli journalists wrote something, but basically it was an Israeli concept that came out for America's solution to slavery, which was atonement. If we don't have real atonement in America for the things that's happened, there will not be. If we ain't noticed, it ain't gonna be enough time to get rid of it. It's been resurrected, and the problem continues to be resurrected. And at the end of the day, I don't think that's helpful. But if the situation is not remedied, I don't think that's helpful.
But Darwin, I took a very long approach to answer your answer. And the thing of it is, if you think about everything I laid out to you, you know, like it's really at the point where you really can't put a dollar value on this. You really can't.
Well, there has been studies.
I mean,
that says
it's been
16
studies,
trillion.
but the thing of it is if you think about, you know, the revenue that has been generated for 400, I mean, not just slavery, up to now. I mean, like we have to talk in number terms that, you know, beyond trillions that's owed to Black people. And when you get to that point, it's just like, okay, like just give me Coca-Cola, give me Ford, you know.
No. I'm not gonna add you. I'm saying that there are real statistics from real universities and real scholars. And all I'm trying to simply say is that when you look at this now, I believe that there is some plans, and you know they're researching. They already have, I think it's HB4. They're already researching these things, and it's already planned to play. Why wasn't the Republicans the ones doing that?
But one of the things I was saying is that they may be ultra conservative on their estimates. That's what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely.
But you know, the thing of it is it's because what I said before, how many Black people are part of the Republican Party? That's the reason why. If you get Black people in part of the Republican Party, you get them at least 10 to 20%, it'll change the platform. The problem of it is you got to get people in it, and you got people. I mean, if it was no Black people in the Democratic Party, why would the Democrat? They would be just straight up for everybody else like they is now. They'll be really straight up. Like now, they give us tokens and, you know.
But see, this is the thing. So at some point, when does principle and platform matter? Because I do think even though Democrats, well, see, I know in the GOP side, I've had people tell me that the platform don't matter, and I get it. But what I'm also saying is that we have to have some principle and platforms that represent what we stand for. We claim to be the party of freedom. So how can we not support legislations like Clean Slate here in Michigan? I mean, and we not be the ones that promote it and push it? How can we not be the ones that get rid of asset forfeiture? How can we not be the ones that promote a common sense legislation to help make sure those who are willing to work and have the grades and other things to go into this help us get back on our feet, to get up where we need to be, and not just a handout? You know, but what is the Republican strategy for a handout? What does that look like? Because I don't know of it.
From a corporate perspective, they have a lot of those. But you know, but the thing of it is that, you know, Republican Party is, you know, it's corporate, you know, centered. You know, and they do handouts, but they just don't do handouts for individuals. They do handouts for entities and corporations. And Democrats, they do the inverse, but their handouts are actually horrible for people. Correct. You know, like if you think about, like, you know, what they do for housing, they put all the poor people in one neighborhood, and then it's like basically putting crabs in a bucket because nobody's getting out of that.
And environmentally, you know? That's going to bring you down because you never see nobody different. You never see anything different.
Yeah, it's sociology. You because the thing of it is like, if you're not around successful people, how can you be successful? If you're around people that's doing the same thing you're doing, you don't know no different. You know, like I think, like I benefit my success because, you know, I live, you know, and back in the day when Detroit, like in the 80s, you know, I guess that was like before it went straight down. You know, I had neighbors that were like doctors and lawyers and, you know, things like that. So I could learn, you know, but like
that has always been a liberal area, Democratic area. So it's just at some point, and I said this when I was ethnic vice chair of the Michigan Republican Party, we have to have a minority investment plan. We have to show people practically what our values represent. Why is it better to teach a person how to fish? And what does that look like? Because you still got to give them a fishing pole. You still got to give them the starter package to be successful. And that's how you teach it. Or you at least can incorporate something that the company owns it, but the company focuses its time, talent, and resources to bettering these demographics. We got to be about that. If we're not about that, I'm not sure what else can win. But I thank you, man, for coming on and having this conversation. I got to talk to you again because I enjoyed it so much, man. But I appreciate
I enjoyed it too as well.
I appreciate you. And we touched on a lot of things, again, from the gubernatorial race here in Michigan. And again, Chief Craig, running for governor and the motives behind that. Touched on quite a few things, man. But I just want to say thank you, man. And we'll be in touch, you know, and I'll give you my friend. I met you through Wayne Bradley. So me and Wayne Bradley be on and off sometimes. So, right now we on off season. Generally, when politics pop up election season, we'll work back together. But that's my brother. But I came across you. I think we were connected. I don't know. It was some other big issue at the time. And we just connected because we were thinking the same about some things. But I just want to say, man, blessings to you and yours. Continue to pray for the peace of Jerusalem right now. You see what's going on. But thank you, man. And enjoy the rest of your day on the Urban Difference, man. We're going to bring you back again. And shalom, my brother.
All right. Hey, take care, Darwin. Be blessed.
Yeah, you too.
Okay. Bye-bye.